you see, the point where we left was that the finance minister announced 100,000 crores for research in sunrise sectors. The details are awaited, of course. But how do you read that? This is a very futuristic focus. So when you say sunrise sectors, you include drones, you include artificial intelligence, you include renewable energy. What comes to your mind?
Well, I think there are two things. First of all, the continued focus on deployment of technology as a growth multiplier for the future. That continues. But at the same time, I think I'm really also interested in the first half of the budget speech, where she focused on basically, just enumerating the success that this government has had in financial inclusion, in inclusion of the vast majority of the population. For instance, there's the PM Vishwakarma program.
Yeah.
That is focused on artisans and handicrafts.
Yeah.
So basically providing benefits, credit, etc., to keep the, you could say, the so-called Gandhian part of the economy going. So there are, the rural population is benefited from that. Then there are 40 million people, 4 crore farmers who benefit from crop insurance. Just the size and magnitude of these things. The fact that some 520 million people are newly empowered with bank accounts that have money in them, the Jan Dhan accounts. So, I think the interesting thing is no new populism, but simply confidence in the existing schemes that have delivered benefits over the last 5 and over the last 9.5 years to the vast majority of India's people. I mean, I think that normally budgets used to be focused on the small sliver of the population that pays taxes.
Yeah,
Kishore, but there's so much more to this government's approach, which is focused on what is called Antyodaya, the benefit of the
last mile, the last person.
Absolutely.
But Kishore, you think, irrespective of the fact that this is a vote on account or an interim budget, there could have been a little more focus on, for example, skill development, something announced for that?
Basically, if you hear the whole budget speech, it's basically continuity. There is nowhere they have said that we are going to stop this program or that one. So, emphasis not being given is a simple messaging that once come July, we will give you the full information. We do not want to, and see, understand there has been no messaging here politically, and that is very critical as we keep on harping here that fiscal prudence is the key part. Yeah. And remember, they could have very well, we were actually talking about this topic when we stopped, we were speaking about the old tax regime and the new tax regime. Government is very prudent in keeping both. It would have been easy to just raise this level and remove the old. But what would have happened is that the savings would have gone down. So government is taking a calculated move, and the best part, as Mr. Basu was saying, we are covering every segment.
CII,
the bottom part of the pyramid.
CII, if I can be patched in, can I just be patched in, please? And can I go back and hold this? And can I have Kunal Behel, co-founder of Snapdeal and Titan Capital, who's joining us, I'm told, from CII. Thank you very much, Kunal. Kunal, we've been hearing the budget. Sorry, I was off for a while. Your thoughts, you heard the budget. It was more a directional budget, I think, than a specific budget. And what's that direction that you see, both industry specific to you and overall?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Look, it's obviously in the right direction, and we have been in the right direction as a country for a few years now, and the results are showing. Particularly in this budget, there were a couple of things which are particularly pertinent for the startup economy and the innovation economy. The 1 lakh crore loans for the deep tech R&D sector will be immensely beneficial, given these are typically companies which have long gestation periods, and they don't get equity capital very easily. So getting zero interest or low interest loans over a 50-year tenure will be immensely beneficial for these type of businesses in defense tech, space tech, biotech, and other deep tech sectors. Secondly, for a country that has a lot of dependency on oil imports, investing behind the EV infrastructure is of utmost criticality. We have been doing that. We are seeing results of that. And given the finance minister has said that there will be further investments in manufacturing and the charging infrastructure, it will be tremendously helpful for the entire EV ecosystem. A lot of it is which is being driven by the startup economy. So overall, I feel that even though it was an interim budget, there's enough for the startup economy. But what is the biggest highlight for me is the fact that like this government has been setting big goals and then working towards them. The Viksit Bharat by 2047 is the biggest goal that we could push for as a country, and all these announcements today are a step in the right direction.
Absolutely. And while we are doing this, I also want to want to just tell you, viewers, seeing a lot of action, lot of action politically going in. I need to just update our viewers on what we are getting on the Jharkhand story. Only 35 out of 48 MLAs are being shifted. 13 Indie Alliance MLAs of Jharkhand are incommunicado. The BJP National Secretary BL Santosh has arrived in Jharkhand, called a meeting of all BJP MLAs, all 26 BJP MLAs in Ranchi today. The total strength of NDA in Jharkhand is 31. So we're looking at a regime change. We're looking at a proper regime change happening there in Jharkhand. So that's a very, very fast moving development. Can't be outside that story either. So Abhishek, your take on what's happening there while I come back on budget reactions.
Well, this is a significant development going by the numbers, Arnab, and the manner in which the transition of power happened yesterday between Hemant Soren and his successor. I think it's clear that there is an element of rebellion happening within the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, and that's getting reflected in the numbers is going to play out, because the fact that despite having the numbers, JMM had to move its MLAs out of the state clearly show that they see some problem in all of them together and backing the choice of Hemant Soren. And it's likely that this is another state going the Bihar way or the Maharashtra way.
Yes, absolutely. So we are seeing very, very quick developments there. So what's happening, viewers, is that in Jharkhand the story is very fluid, getting reactions there.
I'd like to thank the Congress party as well.
Our guest there from CII for a minute, and I just shared the reactions with you. Picture here. May I draw you in also, Sandeep? We are seeing quick political developments on one side. We have an election coming in. We've got movement on Jharkhand. We are here in Kolkata where there are strong ED inquiries that are going on. So I think the government is saving the economic fireworks for later, knowing we are totally in election season.
But this government, the beauty of this government is it fires on all cylinders at the same time. It's got a tremendous bandwidth. It doesn't get worried about, doing economics only or finance budget. It tackles the political front, tackles the economic front, and as well as, say, foreign relations and everything else at the same time. And I think that's what makes Narendra Modi always stay
multifunctional.
Stay ahead of the curve, ahead of his competitors.
Yeah, I think if I want to look at the bigger picture here, and I want to go back to Kishore and PK, if you look at the longer term vision in this budget, let's spend some time on that. The finance minister has adopted, I think, a very aggressive fiscal consolidation target. She's announcing today FY25 fiscal deficit target of 5.1 against the expectation of 5.3, 5.4 levels. FY24, the fiscal deficit target of 5.8 has been achieved against the target of 5.9. So it's all credited in a way to the stunning handling of revenue sort of mobilizations. So Nirmala Sitaraman's announcement that the fiscal deficit will be brought below 4% of GDP in 24-25.
It's not just mobilization.
That's 200 basis points. Is it even achievable?
And it's a governance.
No, but is it even achievable?
It is. I think they have been doing so, because it's not just one.
But below 4%, is that even achievable?
Long term, I think yes. Because
you think so? You think so, PK?
By plugging leakages, increasing efficiency of collections.
But from about 5.8% to 4% in 2 years? You think, PK? I can't hear you, PK. 4% in 2 years.
Arnav, the first thing to note is that the strongest quarter for tax revenue always is the January to March quarter. In the first 9 months of the fiscal year, this fiscal year, the deficit is only 55% of the target. It is very unlikely that the actual deficit will be 5.8% of GDP. This year's deficit is likely to be closer to 5.5% of GDP because revenue continues to be very strong, expenditure slightly lower than targets, and as a result, you're going to see this year's deficit closer to 5.5% of GDP. Next year, they're going to ensure that you have continued strength in tax revenue because the economy is going to be growing faster in both real and nominal terms, and as a result, you'll get continued improvement on the revenue side, and of course, expenditure mix will continue to focus on public investment, but the overall numbers should ensure that the deficit next year itself will be lower than 5% of GDP, and the following year 4.5% easily. I think it is quite easy to achieve those targets, especially if the economy is going to be accelerating, as I expect. The economy is going to be accelerating because the global backdrop starts improving. I think by June you begin to see rates start coming down in the US, etc. So this year, India is going to enter the emerging market bond index of JP Morgan. So as a result, we're going to get substantially greater portfolio inflows in the course of next year. The current account will be in surplus, and you'll get more capital inflow. So in fact, we're going to be in a very positive environment over the next 18 months in particular. And during that period, fiscal consolidation continuing will help crowd in more investment spending, will help basically reduce the entire structure of interest rates in India. As bond yields come down now with the lower borrowing requirement of the government, you'll get the entire interest rates coming down. And of course, I think that inflation is going to be down to close to the
confidence here. Look at the generosity in capex. I've never seen this before. People of the country have never seen this before. Kishore, this generosity in capex outlay increased. At the same time, aggression, stunning handling of revenue mobilization. People will say that you're being too generous in your praise, but I think if the government borrowing is down in terms of projection, it indicates something. So you have a reduction of government borrowing from you have a generosity of capex and you have aggression on fiscal. These 3 points of the triangle never meet. They're not meant to meet.
I think they genuinely believe they've crossed the tipping point, and now the economy is going to gather momentum.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, Narendra Modi always believes in setting very ambitious targets.
Yeah.